Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome everyone to the Jump Conference. We're really happy to have everyone here today. I know for some people it's the middle of the night. We had some technical difficulties, but I think we're almost ready to roll now. Um, we're really fortunate that we have people coming here today from all over the world, from every continent on the planet, from every possible time zone. So we're getting excited to roll here. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick intro to myself. My name is Abbas Aladina. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and been in the tech industry for the past 15 years. Um, about 6 months ago, I started a company called We the Origin, and the goal of the company was to basically make coffee more sustainable, transparent, and to basically leverage my background in the tech industry to improve coffee. So I've been in the tech industry for about 15 years, and my coffee journey started about 6, 7 years ago. I was living in Dubai at the time, and someone gave me an Ethiopian Harar. And when I tasted this coffee, it basically blew my mind. I couldn't believe that a coffee could have such incredible notes of blueberries and citrus. And it really just kind of changed my world. And ever since then, I've been chasing the dragon. And I think a lot of people that are here today, you guys probably have a similar story. And that's what really brings us all together and binds us is this magical thing called coffee. And what I love about the coffee industry is that we're super resilient. So in coffee, we've faced so many, problems over the years. We've had Roya, we've had diseases, low prices, consistently low prices for our coffee over the last 40 years. There's been political tensions, lack of access to finance, global warming, and the list just goes on and on. Yet everyone who works in coffee is extremely resilient. And that's what I love about working with people in coffee is just that drive and that resiliency to push on. Now, over the past few months, we've had something come up that's been pretty unique, which is COVID. And COVID has really just completely destroyed everything that we knew in the coffee industry. From logistics to consumer behavior, everything has changed. So now we have coffee that's stuck either, in ports waiting to be exported. We have coffee that's stored in warehouses that's not being purchased. We have cafes that have some coffee that, the way that it's being consumed has changed. Instead of people showing up and coming to the coffee shop and drinking coffee, now people are ordering to their homes. They're taking coffee to go. So everything has really changed. There has never been a moment in time when something like COVID has happened before, where the entire supply chain has been stressed at the same time. So we can't really change what's happened, but what we can change is how we respond and how we respond individually, collectively, and as an industry as a whole. So I'm really thrilled today to have everyone here um, coming together from all parts of the world. We have Damian Reed joining us from Panama, Karthik, who's a good friend of mine from Dubai. He's participated in numerous coffee competitions and has won World Coffee Champion as well as UAE Coffee Champion and is now the head of coffee at 3 Coffee Roasters. We have Rick Reinhardt, the Emeritus Executive Director of the SCA and one of the most experienced coffee professionals I've ever met. We have Carl from Cedro Alto in Colombia. He's put together a collaborative and I can't wait to hear what he says. We have Queen P, Perpetue Musinga from Rwanda, representing sustainable growers. She's worked with over 30,000 farmers in Rwanda, so she's made a huge impact on coffee, and I know what she's done during COVID, and I can't wait for her to share her story as well. We have Ezequiel Batista. I call him Kilito. He was one of the first people I met in my coffee journey, and he's helped a lot of producers in Panama get their coffee to new markets. We have Edgard from Capricornio Coffees in Brazil. On the from D Origin Coffee Roasters, we have Michael, and we have Cole from Rosso Coffee Roasters, who's also a two-time Canadian barista champion. We have Rodrigo from Devoción Colombia, and Martin Pollock from Torch Coffee. in China. So we basically have someone from every continent on the planet, from every corner of the coffee industry. We're really fortunate that everyone's come here together today. From east to west, north to south, we're all here on a shared mission to figure out how we can rebound from COVID-19 and come back stronger in the coffee industry. Now, from my experience in the tech world, there are a lot of efficiencies that we can gain. Now with COVID, we're not able to travel. So in the past, we may have traveled to origin, we may have developed business relationships in person, we may have met in a coffee shop, but that is no longer possible. So what's happened is a lot of this has moved online. And as a technologist myself, I see a lot of opportunity for us to really leverage technology to improve the coffee industry. So we really have an opportunity right now to redesign coffee and really rethink everything about coffee from the ground up. Now, I'm going to take a step back right now and really let all these people that I just mentioned share their thoughts, because we have some incredible thought leaders and innovators available to us today. So I'm going to step back and I'm going to pass it on to Karthik to get started. Karthik, can you please take over?
Bas, really appreciate it. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah, perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I've been looking forward for this opportunity for so long. It's great to meet you all at this tough situation. Things are getting better over here in this part of the world, so that's a great thing. We realized a lot of new opportunities during this situation, and we came back with some new ideas for our market which potentially work. So we thought we should share this with around the rest of the world, coffee industry professionals, or also help them to see how they can get back on their feet while supporting the farmers. We have a small presentation over here, so I'm going to share my screen if you just give me a second. So what we noticed in the many specialty coffee growers recently has been hard hit by the coronavirus crisis, as consumers are barred from the coffee shops that serve niche brews and opt for shop-bought offerings. The global consumers especially are still drinking coffee, but few are visiting cafes. Instead, they are buying medium quality supermarket coffees, being to drink at home, foregoing high-end coffee shop offerings and spelling disaster for specialized suppliers. So we decided we can see once the COVID situation hope is finished and the roasters, coffee shops are allowed to open back in business, how we can get back on our feet while supporting the small scale farmers. Because during the situation, the most affected part of the coffee chain was the small scale farmers, especially. So we will quickly look what are the recent impacts or scenarios that's been faced at the origin during this last 3 months of the COVID situation. We saw that there was a lot of cancellation of micro lot orders, especially some of the prominent European specialty coffee traders. What they said to us was due to the coronavirus situation, they had driven down specialty coffee demand in United States and Europe by 40%. And due to this situation, especially the small batches and nano lot consignments made by air order by the specialty coffee roasters around the world has been cancelled. These specialty and experimental lots where the small scale farmers invested a lot of cash flow for last year's market demands to satisfy the market demands. Because if you notice, recently there was a very high demand for the specialty coffees which are processed in experimental processing ways. So many small scale producers started investing on this experimental processing methods by a lot of machines.
What happened?
On distillery tanks and everything.
Hello.
And once these coffees are ready and stored in the warehouse, ready for shipped, people loved it and they ordered for this coffee.
Hello. Can you hear me?
And they cannot ship the coffee anymore. And this severely affected the farmers, especially. So we all know, like Abba said, coffee was already struggling in terms of like production cost being too high for producers to compete with the mechanized mega growers, and climate change is pushing up temperature and making rainfall patterns more erratic, reducing the productivity of the origin and forcing many small scale farmers to go out of the business. And again, the New York Stock Exchange, the low global coffee prices had been added to the sector O's, where the Arabica futures touched 13-year low last year. But luckily, prices had begun to rebound, which is a good thing. The farmers were just started to smile with coffee prices going up. And then here comes the corona. The problem starts again. So what happened is, because of this situation where the roasters cannot sell a lot of their stocks, which they currently have it in their warehouses, and they are not sure that will there be an opportunity for high-end coffees in the market on next few months, even after the corona situation finishes. So they are a little bit scared, and they took a step back, started canceling most of their orders with the farmers. This is what we realized with our producers as well. Like when we went to them and asked how's the situation over here, the main complaint they say is like most of the regular customers has canceled their orders or reduced the quantity they used to regularly order. And there was a very high manpower shortage also has been faced by many origins, which got the harvesting periods over the last 3 months of February, March, and April. What we noticed is the small scale land owners or the farmers couldn't find pickers because of the situation, especially on Indonesia and Vietnam. They couldn't find pickers because there was a lockdown. There was pickers were not allowed to go out. Most of the cherries were left to get spoiled on the trees as well, which is a very sad thing. At the end, we have a situation where the warehousing spaces started to get full in the origins itself. We all know that many origins, most of the origins at the moment is having 2 harvesting periods, like Colombia, where there is 3 or 4 harvesting periods, depends upon which part of the Colombia they are in. And Brazil, no, Indonesia has 2 harvesting periods. So some of the cold coffees are still sitting in their warehouses from the previous harvest. And when the new harvest comes, there is no more space because of this corona situation. A lot of coffees has got stuck in the warehouses in the farms. So the farmers don't have storage space for the new harvested coffees, which was another situation. So these are the major impacts what we noticed during this last 3 months with the origins, figuring regions especially. But at the same time, while we were all thinking that consumers are not drinking enough coffee, it's not the right thing to say, how we can say that there was not enough coffee sales with the specialty coffee roasters. If you look at the consumers' purchase trends for last 4 months with different origins, we can say in Italy, France, UK, New Zealand, and US, we made a chart over here, and we realized the edible items, if we see first, the beverage has increased in sales by 17.5% to 39.6%, which was a great rise. Is compared to the last year's data. This year, there was a huge rise on the coffee and packed beverages and canned beverages in the supermarkets. And as well, in the top growing categories by the country in the last 3 months, and if you look, the bottled beverages, especially like teas and coffees, has got a rise of 273.8%, which was massive, like humongous. So the demand for coffee didn't drop down. Only the number of people going to coffee shops or number of people who used to purchase specialty coffees is what dropped. So we have to find a way that how we can make the specialty coffee offerings more accessible for these consumers to approach or penetrate this market. So people can still afford to pay the farmers and buy high-end specialty coffees. At the same time, they can run the business ethically. we looked at why people choose the commodity coffee, especially like, let's say, instant coffee or drip coffee bags, which was commonly available in the supermarkets. And we noticed that most coffee drinkers at this situation, they're looking for a brewing options which doesn't need any special equipments, like something more simple, something they can just like a tea bag option, something they can put in a cup and pour hot water and brew it with 3 or 4 minutes. That's it. No V60 or French press, no special equipments needed. So we have to see how we can conduct that. And then we have certain customers tell to us that it doesn't need a lot of skill or understanding to brew a cup of coffee for them every day morning or during their busy work hours in the home itself. So they decided to go with commercial drip bags or instant coffees in the supermarket, which was much easier for them to get it brewed every day morning. At the affordable price, we cannot say it's necessarily affordable, but this is one of the options which most consumers put in the table. So I decided to add that as well. And social media trends. Recently, we all saw that there was Dalgona coffee, which was going like viral all over social media, which eventually increased or supported the sales of instant coffees around the world. It's not a big increase, but necessarily that as well potentially had an impact. So we saw once this COVID situation finishes, maybe in like a couple of months or like 6 months of period of time, once this all situation finishes, we are all allowed to go out, the infected numbers reduced. What would be the behavioral trends that would reshape or that the consumers will be having in terms of like food and beverage options, what they will be willing to have, what kind of mindset the consumers will be having? So we saw that there was like 3 major behavioral impacts would be known to be followed. Even though the lockdowns in most countries will open after like a couple of months, many big companies requested their employees to stay in the home and work from home till 2021. Especially there are some few options I mentioned over here, like the Google asked their employees to stay and work in homes till 2021, and Twitter also allowed the work from home even after the COVID. And many CFOs and CEOs of big companies has requested, especially the production plant companies like biscuits, chocolates, or Nestle, these companies have requested their most of the staff to work from home. And second, don't be dense. Even after the lockdown finishes, people will still under the confusion stage. They will not be more social like it used to be before. They'll be still scared to have a cup of coffee sitting next to a stranger in a specialty coffee shop or in a restaurant sitting next to a random person and having their food. So many people will be willing to make it as a takeaway, the deliveries, or they'll be trying to brew from home, and they will not be going into places which are more crowded like a marketplace or a coffee shop or a restaurant even. And increasing concerns over food safety. So during this last 4 months period of time, many consumers has become aware of the product safety and situations. So they may be looking more into like how this product came and also transparency of the supply chain of the product, which is a positive thing. People will be more willing to hear about their coffee, where it came from and what really goes behind for the cup of coffee in terms of like transparency and as well as like safety features. So based on this, we set up a model which can help the coffee roasters to be prepared for the post-COVID situation that can potentially help them to get back on their feet quickly, while also supporting the small-scale farmers without canceling their orders, where they can run their business profitably while uplifting all the coffee chain. So the 3 most important things on building the new strategy for the post-COVID situation, what we realized was, number 1, you have to come up with products or options that are easy to prep and brew. And products that has a clear labeling system of product safety and transparency, and platforms that can help the roasters or restaurants or coffee shops to sell their products through online. If you look, most of the roasters, most of the roasters consumers would be coffee shops and restaurants, okay? And this is where the end consumers will have accessibility to the specialty coffee. And most restaurants, they sell only the cup of coffee. They don't sell the bag of beans or brewing accessories that are necessarily can help the customers to brew their own cup of coffee in house. So I think the roasters should come up with tie-ups or franchising system to sell their brewing units as well in the restaurants along with the consumers, so that people can easily avail the options to brew it in their houses. So when I say easy to brew, what does it mean? We had recently a situation in Dubai, in Middle East especially, where the specialty coffee market started to face a little bit of a dark side. During the situation, people started to move back to the commodity coffee instead of a specialty coffee. Because of unemployment, many people lose the job, and many people don't want to spend money. So, and the most important thing is like, they don't want to spend time on brewing a cup of coffee, or like they want to put or learn a new skill that can, like coffee brewing in their home. So we came up with solutions or concentrates in our brand, which can be accessible for people. They can order online and they can make like numerous number of coffees. We thought instant coffee will be a great idea using specialty beans like or nano lots, but potentially that takes like a lot of investment. So something that can be easily done is one of the companies called Elemental Beverages, which is in this presentation, has done in US, in Boston. They hot brewed the coffee and turned into a cold beverage and scanned it and then sold it online. So it has more flavors. They can make it as a concentrate and then sell it. So it was much easier for people to access, and they can store it in the fridge. They can make numerous number of cups easily. Number two is product safety and transparency. Like I said, consumers are now highly aware of the situation, and especially about their hygiene and food safety. So food and beverage manufacturers, especially the coffee industry people around the globe, should come up with technological advancements like blockchain, enhanced visibility and transparency of their products into their supply chain, like how the Be the Origin does, or iPinka, or many companies around the world, Farmers Connect does. These kind of platforms would be more helpful for the roasters at this current situation to create transparency for the end consumers. And online buying power, we all know. So one of the countries that's already came back from the COVID situation and on the pace of getting back into the normal situation is China. And what we saw in the market trend of China is, after the pandemic situation, the online buying platforms started to perform more better, even with aged people who are not tech savvy, like people who are like about 50, 60 years old, started using online purchasing platforms or online shopping platforms to purchase their regular products or everyday products, groceries, milk items, coffees, teas, everything. The reason is, during the lockdown, people have been used to this kind of technological advancements, online platforms. So once the lockdown has been lifted, they still want to enjoy those facilities. They've created their own comfort zone. So they want to stay in their comfort zone. So they decided to go with online platforms, to stay with the online platforms. That's what we noticed. So looking at this situation, we can say like creating a products that are more accessible for the market, not necessarily niche, and as well as products that doesn't needs extraordinary skills to brew a cup of coffee, and the products that has a longer shelf life, and products that can be easily purchased by the people through online platforms tend to do very good. I think the roasters should be focusing more on these kind of strategies to get back on their feet, especially during this COVID situation, and particularly after the COVID situation, to penetrate the market and make sure that specialty coffee keep growing while also supporting the farmers. Cool. Pretty much those are the things I want to say about before we start. And cool. If you guys have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. That's for my side. Abbas?
Thank you, Karthik. That was a really good overview. I'm actually really, happy to hear that, coffee volume hasn't gone down drastically. It's more of a change of behavior. We still need our coffee fix. Consumers still need their coffee fix. So I like some of the strategies you touched on in terms of how to make coffee more accessible. Other strategies such as cold brew, pairing brewing devices or brewing apparatus, just making it more accessible. Because, when it comes to specialty coffee, I feel for most people, it starts, outside the home, right? In my case, it started with you making me a Panamanian geisha in a coffee shop in Dubai. And it's all your fault that I've gotten hooked on coffee because of what you gave me that one day. But now I bring it into my home, and over time you start also consuming it in the home. So knowing that the majority of people still may consume specialty coffee historically in the cafe, how can we provide that same experience and that same level of coffee quality in the home? I think those were some great ideas. So what we'll do is we'll capture questions, and I'm just checking if there's any that have come in right now. Yeah, okay. So there's one from Eric. Maybe we can address it right now. How does I don't know if you can see it. How does easy to prep brew affect coffee quality, if at all? Do you see serious coffee enthusiasts also adapting to this trend?
Yeah, and he said, no need to answer now, but I'm happy to answer now, actually. Cool. So easy to prep brew. We thought that people who've been hooked to specialty coffee flavor characters will be close-minded when it comes to like instant coffees or like coffee concentrates. So we were a little bit worried when we started this project 2 months ago. When we tried to make like easy to brew concentrates, we just used the cold brew system basically, but with a different technology using centrifugal infusion and everything, which can extract more flavors, more like what do you call it, espresso strength with 8 or 10 TDS at that level. We made some natural Ethiopian and Panamanian geisha natural process as well, and people loved it. Actually, it was the hot sale now. It was made in like 500 ml bottles, which can produce like 10 cups of coffee for the consumers. So people like to buy those kind of products at the moment, and that we are selling it a lot of that product. In terms of coffee quality, it was a little bit tricky how you brew the coffee. You know that very well that when it comes to specialty coffee and when it was cold brewed, it can get oxidized very quickly. So we have to pay a little bit more attention on the packaging systems and as well as the brewing environment to make sure that it doesn't get oxidized. We employ some enzymes actually while brewing to come over those risks. If you want later, I can share those enzymes as well.
All right. Thanks, Karthik. Okay, so one quick follow-up question from Eric. So on the density issue, any advice for folks who want to open a shop?
I would recommend opening a shop now. It's not a bad idea, but a shop which is mainly focused on delivery service options for the consumers would be a great idea, or a subscription service options where a consumer can pay for a month worth of coffee, like cup of coffee, not a bag of coffee. Let's say where you can spend like a few $100 for like 30 cups of coffee for a whole month, which gets delivered every day to their office or home regularly at a certain particular time would be a great option for a coffee shop.
Thanks, Karthik. We had one question come in on social media. We're live streaming this on a few different platforms.
Yeah.
So the question that came in was, you mentioned product safety. Can you expand on what you mean and how can we offer more safe products?
When I say product safety, like people are looking for like safe products. So we have to, we all know that coffee is safe, like there's nothing wrong with coffee. We have to put it in a label with like nutritional facts. That can be a great thing. And as well as come up with coffee products with some other health beneficial products like coffee with whey protein concentrate and coffee with what do you call THC oil or CBD oil. Coffee with CBD oil was a big boom at the moment. Many people are trying to buy CBD oil with coffee. So those kind of products, when I say product safety.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Karthik.
Oh,
That was incredible.
questions coming in.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we're gonna gather these questions because we have a pretty packed schedule, and we'll come back to some of the questions. So keep them coming in either in Zoom, in the QA box, or even on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Just keep sharing the questions, and we'll try to address as many as we can as we go through. But just in order to respect the time of everyone else, we'll gather some and keep them at the end.
Yeah.
So thank you, Karthik, very much. I was really excited to just hear your insights, and this was super valuable. So thank you very much, Karthik.
Welcome. Cheers.